40, Buhari in Saudi Arabia, the picture story we have on the This Day newspaper, and that's all the news on This Day newspaper.
And on Blueprint newspaper, Nigerians' unemployment rate hit 41% in 2023, coming from KPMG, attributes scenario to slower than required economic growth. IMF retained nation's economic growth projection at 3.2%. You can start reading on the front page and continue inside the paper. The big story, APC at election tribunal. Obi not validly sponsored can't challenge Tinubu's mandate with the rider. Says Labour Party candidate was PDP member at point of sponsorship. Explains Asiwaju forfeiture of $460,000 US. Provide clarification on leak audio conversation federal government tells Obi. Electronic transmission of result not compulsory coming from INEC. Richard, I'm really not happy with what INEC is saying at this point in time, because this was, I think this was a bill that went back and forth before it was finally passed by the House of Representatives. And I knew there were people that were not for it, but there were people that were for it. And I clearly remember before the election, INEC said that everything is ready.
Everything is ready.
So here INEC saying that electronic transmission of result not compulsory. I disagree with that. It is compulsory for this election. We had the Electoral Act that was re-amended, and then we had to wait for the president for a quite long period of time for him to, finally, accept it. There were so many interviews that were being conducted for him, why he took so much time, and then all of that. But then here we can see INEC is saying, and it seems INEC is going contrary to what she said she would do. So I just hope that all of this thing don't escalate, because, Rachel, I'm looking at it from the point of view, we're already having a threat of interim government, which we said it is not proper at a time like this, that Nigeria is actually on the boiling point, permit me to say that, because there are a lot of aggrieved members and they really need their voice to be heard at this point in time. So just like we said earlier, I just think that it will only be wise if we really want Nigeria to still be united, if we still want Nigeria to still be the country that everybody wants to stay. We can see from the last paper here, World Health Organization, that's like World Medical Association, is attacking our lawmakers when they said that the doctors can't live until after 5 years. So a lot of things, we need to put our act together. This is just all I have to say. Just like you said, let us know where each body's boundary stands, so we don't see you doing things that are not. So for this statement coming from INEC, well, we hope that they will come out and actually, clarify what they mean, that electronic transmission of result not compulsory. I hope that they'll come out and explain to us further.
Stella, for something that took the majority of the percentage of the budget for 2023 election, and just as you said, it went through deals and back and forth and was finally approved and took the majority cut of expenses in the budget for the 2023 election, and for INEC to come out and tell us it's not necessary is just another vague excuse for your incompetency, as far as I am concerned. How can something that consumes so much money, that you assured Nigeria is one of the reasons that we are going to have a free and fair election, that you assured Nigeria that your vote will count because we are going digital and we are going to be electronic, that it's going to be free and fair because we are introducing the beavers, and it means that you can see the results live and direct, and now you sit down and tell Nigerians it's not necessary. It's really a statement that shouldn't even be said in the first place by INEC, and Nigerians should not even accept it in the first place. Nobody should take this statement lightly. Nobody should sit down and watch INEC make ridicule of the money put into this to make it successful. Nobody should sit down and watch INEC and take it easy to them, that what you told us, that guaranteed us that because of this, we are going to have a better election. We are going to, and this took a chunk of the majority of the budget, and for you now to sit down and tell us it was not compulsory. So if it wasn't compulsory in the first place, why did you ask the government to sink in that amount of money into making it available if it wasn't compulsory? If it wasn't a necessity in the first place, then it shouldn't even make its way to the budget in the first place. It shouldn't be what you use as an assurance to tell us that we are going to have a free and fair election. It shouldn't even make its way to our electoral planning and process. But it did, and now you're telling us that the electronic transmission was not compulsory. I don't think this is a statement that in the first place should come to INEC, should come out from INEC. However it has, the government shouldn't take this serious, shouldn't take this as a joke, and Nigerians also shouldn't just wave it off because it is compulsory and a necessity.
No, I think at this point in time, I'll just encourage Nigerians to remain calm, and I hope that the federal government will actually, possibly call INEC so we actually know what made them make such a statement.
Yes.
We're still on the Blueprint newspaper. We have other stories here where we have Nikon won State Pilgrim Board against arbitrary Hajj fare. 130 killed by suspected headers in Benue in 10 days, coming from Governor Autumn. And we have ex-Anambra governor dies at 78. And here we look at the Easter message that came from Kuka, which we saw from the papers on Monday. Kuka's opinion colored by politics, coming from the presidency. Other story here we have on Delta governorship. Bagi wants Aburi Buri or more Agigi, others disqualified. Why Dino Milaye can't be Kogi governor, coming from Wike. $1.2 billion crook sale, reps summon AGF and finance minister. Picture story still, we can see Nigerians coming back from Libya and Chad, and that's all on the Blueprint newspaper.
On Vanguard newspaper, IMF sees decline in Nigeria's economic growth in 2024 to 3%. Why Plateau Assembly remains sealed, a statement coming from the police. Federal government Obi Baker over leaked audio conversation with Oyedepo. May 29th, advocates of interim government coming from northern leaders. And on Senate presidency, APC looks to self-favored. Tinubu has final say on choices for the post, says source, as parties still making consultations. Akpabio very much in the race, coming from a group, and you can find the details of the big story on page 8 and 12. Anambra ex-governor Mbadi Nuju dies at 79. Illegal sale of crude. Malami received funds without remittance. This is coming from the reps, and you can find the details on page 9. Still on the presidential poll, why we didn't declare Atiku winner, INEC tells court. And on oil market, Nigeria, Russia, a court for 440,000 barrel per day drop in output. This is a report. We have an affair Babalola column. You can find it on page 20, and another for Baba Ahmed on page 16, and our sport column on page 44, and it says gift Auburn ready to play for Nigeria. You can read more of that inside the paper, and that's all the news on the Vanguard newspaper.
And on the Guardian newspaper, doctors demand salary review before May 29 with the rider. UK counterpart begins strike over pay. NED wants payment of review of 2023 medical resident training fund. Admonishes reps on obnoxious bill sponsored by Johnson to summon NEC meeting in 2 weeks on next line of action. You can find that big story on page 6. Sport minister under fire over 21 billion naira request to fix the national stadium. IMF retained Nigeria's economic growth projection at 3.2% as global inflation decelerates. Allow APC choose National Assembly leadership, Wike tells opposition. And we have the burden of proof. Much ado about Tinubu. I take that story, burden of proof. Much ado about Tinubu's asset declaration. You can find that story on page 4, and that's all on Guardian newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, Coming from Lagos, pandemonium in Isheri, Magodo over attempt to execute judgment over land ownership. OAU students beat colleague to death for allegedly stealing on campus. Police arrest 2 suspects for stoning driver to death in Ondo to charge them with murder and arson. The details can be found on page 27. The big story on Nigerian Tribune, 460,000 US dollar. Why Tinubu forfeited amount in US, APC tells court. Dismiss OB Labour Party's admission petition. Tinubu APC INEC tells tribunal. The details can be found. Its definition of modern day slavery, they say. APC members' insistence on Christian Senate President hypocritical, coming from Atiku. The details can be found on page 8. Coalition of Northern APC support group wants Lukman sacked. Buhari approves free zone status for Ekiti Knowledge Zone. The details can be found on page 28. Buhari told me Amechi wanted me sacked as NPA MD. This is a statement coming from Hadiza. The writer following that says why he didn't forgive me over $70 million dredging contract. Asks her whether she can stand the truth, which will also come out in my book. Amechi replies. The details can be found on page 2 and 3, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On the Voice of Liberty, we have Nigeria's unemployment rate to rise to 41% in 2023. That's a report. And we have 48 million naira crude oil theft whistleblower kick against Reps Committee. And on the Tribunal, which is on most of our paper, INEC defends Tinubu's victory, counters Peter Obi petition. The Independent National Electoral Commission has asked the Presidential Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja to dismiss the petition filed against the 2023 presidential election by the Labour Party flag bearer Peter Obi. Bishop Kuka cooks bad news. This is a caption coming from the presidency. You can read more of that inside the paper. And still on the MPA, why Amici work against me, coming from Hadiza Bala Usman. And on we have Navy deactivated 294 illegal refinery, 27 vessels arrested. And on inauguration, no force on earth can stop Tinubu. This is coming from Hope Mahi. And you can find more of that story inside the paper, and that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
On the Nigeria Standard, Kaduna government seeks media support for census exercise. Navy arrests 27 vessels, deactivate illegal refinery sites. Pension funds, PAL reduces banks' investment to 1.6 trillion naira. Zulum extends Borno teachers' retirement age. The big story on the Nigerian Standard, Nigeria to receive monkeypox vaccine from U.S. government. You can start with the details on the front page and continue inside the paper. Nigerian resident doctors kick against slavery. NSCDC impounds street trucks carrying precious stones. You can find the details on page 2, and that's all the news in Nigeria Standard.
All right, at this moment, we'd like to take a time out so we can actually hear what your views are. What do you feel about what INEC said about the election tribunal should kick out the petition being made by the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi? And also, we've seen that Nigeria's unemployment is at 41%. We can also see kind of a likely conflict between Amechi and also Hadiza, and you know what they have to do about some funds. So these and many other stories are what we have on the paper. So when we come back, we'll open the phone line so that you can actually air your views. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on Echo Television International. We've been looking at so many stories on the paper. We've seen the comments coming from INEC saying that election tribunal should actually kick out the petition being made by the Labour Party candidate. We've seen even our resident doctors actually talking about review of their salary, and also making mention the fact that if the lawmakers will say that they can leave the country, they call it modern day slavery. These are many other stories that were on the paper. So at this moment, our phone numbers are open. They are displayed on your screen. Please do well to call us. We'd love to hear what your inputs are. Please do remember when you call us to turn down the volume of your TV set, and also let us use civil language. Please, no use of any curse words or anything whatsoever. Just air your view as peaceful as possible, and please, you have just 30 seconds to do that, as they have Rachel Tanzi with me in the studio. Thank you, Rachel, for doing this. All right, let us go on with the newspaper review, and I'll be taking the first news. The first story here says Senate presidency. Akpabio still strongly in the race, his man to beat. This is coming from Efebo, and you can find more of that story inside the paper. No earthly force can stop Tinubu's inauguration, coming from Hope Umahi. Obi has questions to answer on leak Yes Daddy audio coming from Sean Reps hearing on illegal elders one Obi. Says his utterances over the 2023 polls capable of triggering repeat of the 1966 coup. Accuses the Labour Party flag bearer of displaying anti-democratic tactics capable of causing civil disobedience, threats, and insists Tinubu must be sworn in on May 29. These are many others you can find inside the paper. Obi's petition against Tinubu incompetent, INEC tells court. Downside of the paper, Tinubu forfeited $460,000 in US coming from the APC. And Okoyi Guba Wike Dino Milayi exchange Selos Milayi lacks capacity to govern, says Rivers governor. You are on your way to prison, Milayi fires back at Wike. Court denies lone anti-Tinubu protester bill. You can find more of that story inside the paper. That's all on First News.
On the Matrix newspaper, former Anambra Governor Mbadi Nuju dies at 78. The Hadiza Bala Usman bombshell. The details can be found on page 15. Osimhen to miss Champions League quarter-final first leg against Milan. Alleged drug case, why Tinubu forfeited $460,000 US. APC tells court. Tinubu was not convicted for crime coming from APC. His forfeiture of his funds in the US government over drug indicates conviction coming from Labour Party. It is evil for future proceeding, not criminal, coming from the APC. The big story on the Matrix newspaper, alleged $2.4 billion oil revenue loss. Reps talk tough. Malami Mustafa Ahmed orders to be grilled over whistleblowers policy. AGF accused of not depositing received funds into Federation account. Finance Minister fingered in illicit whistleblowers payment. Agencies accused of spending funds from TSA without approval. No power can remove Tinubu, those in court wasting their time. A statement coming from Mahim. Son to mete out stiffer penalties to fake product manufacturers and importers. Jando GRV others file petition against Sanwo-Olu's re-election. You can find the details on page 9. At the downside of the paper, marketers kick against subsidy removal, urge Buhari to suspend move. And that's all the news on the Matrix newspaper.
On the Daily Times, we have federal government inaugurate NSTI television studio in Abuja. You can start on the front page and read more on page 2. Protests rock National Assembly over sale of Nigerian stolen crude in China. And we have the HOR to summon ministers, SGN and NPC. Other story here, show the privatization responsible for takeover of some discos. This is coming from NUEE. INEC asks court to strike out Atiko's petition. And we have follow Ray over Obi Oyetola Udio as federal government asks for more clarification. We have picture story on the front of the paper. You can do well, get the Daily Times and read more stories that are of interest to you.
On the Nation newspaper, PDP can't hijack National Assembly leadership, a statement coming from Wike. Nigeria may lose $23 billion to crude theft this year, Speaker warns. Amechi fired me from NPA over contract dispute. APC holds primaries in Imo, Bayelsa, Kogi this weekend. You can find the details on page 4. World Bank predicts global high unemployment, inflation, and slow growth. Atiku didn't meet condition. I think we have a caller on the line.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, God bless you. And how are you doing? Thanks for work.
Work is fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I want to react on the newspaper that index are making comments in various newspaper. Are you with me?
Yeah, we can. Can you be a bit louder, sir?
Okay, I want to respond and react to the comment about index. Hello?
Yes, go on. We can hear you.
This is a sign that majority of Nigerians supposed to be in jail by now. Not necessarily the index chairman, the politics, Nigeria health minister, on how election is going to be free and fair. So, subhanallah, I am afraid in this part of the world, the kind of people we have called themselves an Islam who follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm afraid that index chairman Mahmoud is an amazing man. I am afraid and I'm ashamed for him to turn Nigeria down in this manner. To be taken into the earth, to come and defend APC. This is to show that nothing we can offer to Nigerians. We can see things that are inflicted on Nigerians in the most of their government. Yes, they are not yet tired of.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. Still on the Nation newspaper, the big story, Atiku didn't meet conditions to win. INEC tells tribunal. Commission replies PDP candidate's petition. FCT has no special status. Obi's petition should be dismissed. You can start with the details on the front page and continue on page 4. We have a picture story, 104 stranded Nigerians back from Libya, and the rescue mission continues. You can find the details on page 6. Lagos Assembly stops government appointees. The details can be found on page 27, and that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
On Daily Independent newspaper, Arik Air founder team Amcom Baker over court judgment. You can start that story on front page and read more inside the paper. And on Kogi Guba, Dino Minlaye not governorship material, says Wiki. Backs PDP protester said he doesn't trust INEC and the police. The big story for Daily Independent, Reps summon Ahmed Malami over missing 48 million barrels of oil. Bajabia Miller laments epidemic corruption in Nigeria, vows to protect whistleblower and pass protection.
I think we have a call.
All right, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Hello.
can hear you. Good morning. I think we lost
our caller. We hope you call us back. So still on the big story, let me read a little detail of that story. The Mark Bali-led ACOR Committee of the House of Representatives, probing the stolen of 48 million barrels of crude oil, has threatened to take legal action against member of the George Alpo-led whistleblower network over spurious allegation against the committee. George Whistleblower Network had in the early hours of Tuesday in Abuja stormed the main entrance to the National Assembly for protests against the ACOR committee set up by the House to investigate the alleged stolen crude subsequently sold in China for proceeds of $4.8 billion. Protesters led by Peter Omor denounced the setting up of the alcohol. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
I am calling from Lagos.
Good morning.
From Lagos. Yeah, I want to speak on the statement credited to INEC chairman, electronic transmission of results, not compulsory. So this type of man, is it the type of man Nigerians should trust? All of us watch and listen to his utterances before the 2023 general elections, where he was promising Nigerians to heaven and earth how results will be transferred, the usefulness of the beavers. But it is unfortunate that this same man is telling us now that it is not compulsory for results to be transmitted to the INEC portal. I want to put it to him that this man is biased, is confused, in the sense that he is contradicting himself. He's not speaking like a gentleman whose laws is his bond. You see, INEC has conducted 2023 election, and it is only heaven that knows what happened. Let this man, let INEC chairman allow the court to decide the fate of the litigants. INEC cannot be the referee. INEC cannot be the linesman. INEC cannot be the two participating teams, the two opponents in a football match. He has done his worst. He has done everything. Let our courts, let our judges, let them decide this matter to a conclusive end, calling to tell Nigerians that this man won. Now, let me ask you, 8 million votes, is it the popularity of a man? And Nigeria has over 220 million Nigerians. Now, our presidential candidate, all of them put together, is not up to 25 million. It is appalling. It is not acceptable. INEC should allow the courts, the election tribunals, to do their job. If the election tribunals cannot be able to do their job, and it is INEC that is deciding the matter, coming on air to write every day that this man won, this man failed, he is now deciding who should go to court. After all, they told it was this man now, this Mahmoud, the INEC chairman, that was telling the presidential candidates of the various political parties to go to court. And now, these people, they have gone to court, and this man is deciding the matter that is already at the tribunal. So what type of a man is INEC chairman? His faithfulness is at stake. His trustworthy is at stake. And I know that when you say INEC is not independent, the incoming administration should make sure that INEC is independent to the core. And INEC that the government in power gave money 2 days to the elections. So do you think he that pays the piper determines the tune of the music? That's my submission this morning. INEC should allow the tribunals, the courts, to do their work very well. It's not coming. The more he comes to tell all these things, the more he's inflaming the issue. But I pray that the peace of God, which passeth every understanding, will reign in Nigeria. God bless all of us in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much for your contribution, Sally. I don't think anybody will be pleased to hear and see what INEC is saying or doing, because he went on concerning known the promises we had from the INEC chairman concerning the concerning the electronic transmission and the beavers, and then now seeing that you've asked the same people to go to court and you're saying they shouldn't. It's like he keeps contradicting what he has to say, and Nigerians cannot depend on him. So we have another caller on the line.
Hello, good morning.
I'm Nathaniel, calling from the Borno State.
Okay, Nathaniel from Borno State, thank you for calling. Please go on, we can hear you.
Okay. I just want to add my voice on. I think INEC is going beyond their boundary. They've already conducted the election. The election is over. I think it will be right for them to keep it and allow the court do their own job. And by doing so, I think it will go a very long way. And for the court, posterity will judge them if they go against what they saw and ought to do. And I also advise the media to add their voice to what is going on, especially in the aspect of disbanding the INEC into about 2 to 3 categories. Those that will do the legislation, and you have those that will conduct the election, and then post-election matters that will rise. I think it will go a very long way. God bless Equa TV.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's keep on with the Daily Independent newspaper. Other stories here. We have electronic collation of election result not mandatory. INEC tells the court. You can find more on page 29 of Daily Independent. And then we also have other story. I was sacked as the MPA MD because of contract issues coming from Bala Usman. Lagos election. We have 4 parties asked tribunal to sack Sanwo-Olu. You can find that story on page 29. Gunmen abduct Kogi Monarch 8 kill female worker. Ohaneze Soludo, one former Anambra. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
I think we lost that caller.
Right.
Yes.
Let's continue with the Daily Independent. We have why Nigerians' debt burden others may worsen coming from the IMF, says Nigeria's economic may face negative growth in 2024. And the last three, 2023 census will be Nigeria's best ever coming from the National Population Census. You can find that on page 6, and that's all on Daily Independent.
On Nature News, G7 may ignore climate warning, call for new gas investment. And the big story on Nation News, climate activists kick as DRC launches new oil and gas blocks. Right, UN, AU, and others. I think we have a caller.
Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, we lost our call. We hope you call us back again.
Yes. Still on Nature newspaper, climate activists kick as DRC launches new oil and gas blocks. Right, UN, AU, and others demand implementation of the African Convention on the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Incense launch will hide global warming, fuel armed conflicts. Boss. Coming from Abuja, pedestrian laments trader beggars hampering movement on food bridge. Natural gas diversion from Africa, grave obstacle to electricity, fertilizer. This is coming from World Bank. 1 in 5 South African household begs for food, a report. Lemon and your health. You should find the details on page 15. At the downside, Anambra sets to establish state-owned football club. The details can be found on page 21. We have a picture story that says, "Don't gas Africa." And that's all the news on Nature News.
All right, the last paper I'll be taking for today is the New Telegraph newspaper. Bajabia Miller, Nigeria to lose $23 billion to crook theft in 2023. Reps summon I take that story. Reps summon AGF finance minister over $2.4 billion undeclared crook sale. You can find that story on page 2. Still a New Telegraph coming from the presidency. Tinubu duly elected by Nigerians. INEC tell tribunal why Tinubu forfeited $460,000 by the APC. And on inflation, IMF urged Nigeria to tighten monetary policy. Retail countries 2023 growth forecast at 3.2%. And we have in 2023 post-poll event mere semblance with that preceding of the 1966 coup coming from Arewa elders, and this is in relation to Peter Obi. You can find more of that story. And we have for the first quarter of 2023, Obi, Tinubu, CBN, INEC top Google search. You can find that story too on page 2. And we have the picture story of how the wife of Uzo Kalu left. We can see, and also we send our condolences, and it's being captured. You left this world, but not our hearts. And this is from her husband. You can read more of that story, the tribute inside the paper. And that's all on the New Telegraph newspaper. Thank you so much, Richard, for doing this.
Always a
with me.
pleasure, Sarah.
Thank you to all our callers that called in this morning. Thank you to our crew members and also our producer, the EQUA General, talking about our General Manager, and also to the EQUA Executive. Until we come here again, to have a blessed day ahead.